Welcome back to the show, guys. Now we're joined by our very own Mark Patterson from the Made and Tyne and Wear news team. Mark, thank you for joining us today.
No problem at all.
Now, Mark, before we get into the nitty-gritty about Movember and find out what it's all about, we've got a quick clip from a cover story that you covered last year's Movember. Yes. So let's take a look at that to get started.
The humble moustache, now seen as the male ribbon in the fight against men's cancer. And in the northeast, lads and even some lasses have been donating their top lips for the month now known as Movember. And it's down to the dedication of people like Gosforth barber Robin Wilson spreading the word of men's health outside St James's Park.
I have the cancer in Norway. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. Can I give you a sticker?
Yes.
There you go. Proud supporter of Movember.
Yes.
Well done. Great effort.
That's me.
Keep it going. I run a barber shop. All of my whole clientele are male, so I feel like it's a really important thing that I keep my clientele as healthy as I can, and I feel like I'm a good outlet because I see so many men of information, a place that they can get information about men's mental health, testicular cancer, prostate cancer, and all the surrounding issues as well.
So Mark, great report there. I remember you doing that myself actually.
Yeah.
And you do Movember every single year, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
But just tell us a little bit about the meaning behind it and how it all began.
Okay. Well, Movember, it's kind of a new way of thinking for guys. It's about changing the face of men's health, quite literally. So the Mo is kind of seen as the male ribbon, if you like, so whereas breast cancer has the pink ribbon, quite literally we have a Mo on our face through that entire month. And it's really about creating a conversation between guys, because naturally we're not really inclined to talk about these things, whereas women are much more naturally like to have that conversation about it. So yeah, it's really about changing the way guys talk about their health, and maybe just that will instigate just the thought process of, well, maybe if I've got a problem, maybe I should go and get it checked out with my GP. So yeah, that's the thinking behind it, and it was started in Australia by a group of guys, and it snowballed into the global charity that it is now.
So when you say Mo, that's the moustache.
It is
so
the moustache,
that's what's
yeah.
come from Australia. So why the moustache? And is it a beard as well? Talk us about the reasons behind the face.
Yeah, the face of Movember. Well, it's not a beard for starters, it is just the Mo. There are rules to this. Strictly.
Right.
Yeah. And during the month of Movember, you have to start clean shaven. And for that entire month, concentrate on just growing the best Mo you possibly can.
Right.
So no beards are allowed. And I think the reasoning behind it was started by these guys in Australia who just thought, it's one of those quirky things that no guys have been around for ages with a moustache. So they started doing this as a fun gimmick, if you like, and then underlying that, they decided to use that as a catapult for talking about and fundraising for cancer, men's cancer, mental health, and that's kind of what the charity's all about now.
So a lot of men do get involved with the awareness campaign. You see pictures on Facebook and Twitter of the
You get some great ones, don't you?
Yeah, you get some good ones, you get some not so good ones. But tell us about why you got involved with it particularly, if you don't mind.
That's fine. Well, I got involved with it 8 years ago because 8 years ago I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. I was 28 at the time. I was getting out of the shower and just felt a twinge, copped a feel, and found that there was a lump there that I wasn't too sure about. I went to get it checked out at the GP, and before I knew it, I was being sent for x-rays and ultrasounds, and ultimately that was diagnosed at the time, and I had my left testicle was removed.
Right.
So what goes through your mind at a young age of only 28? What goes through your mind when you're diagnosed with something like that? I mean, that must be terrifying.
Well, I imagine it's very different for every single person who goes through this. For me at the time, I remember the doctor coming in and he said to me, right, well, we have to remove your left testicle to examine it. And weirdly, my next question was, well, how are you going to put it back after?
Yeah.
You know, I hadn't really got my brain around the fact that this was actually going to ultimately be led to a diagnosis of cancer. That just didn't enter into my thought process. And I think it was only when surgery came around, then inevitably treatment, I think that's when sort of obviously the fear factor came involved with that. But that being said, testicular cancer is one of the most treatable, highly treatable forms of cancer. So even in advanced cases, it is still highly treatable. So it is just worth getting it checked out and nipping it in the bud as soon as, because at the end of the day, there's nothing manly about sort of keeping it to yourself.
And not speaking out.
Yeah.
Sure.
So do you think that's one of the problems then that Movember tries to get to grips with, that men aren't as keen talking about the health problems as we women are?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was fortunate enough about a year and a half ago, I was invited down to meet a group of guys who had all gone through testicular cancer. And to be quite honest with you, I think a lot of us would say we didn't necessarily think we'd be as open as we were on that evening. We thought, oh, it'll just be a couple of drinks, a couple of hours, and then we'll all go our separate ways, and that would be that. But it went on for hours and hours, and it was, as one of the guys said, it was one of the best therapy sessions we'd ever been through, because whilst we'd gone through the physical treatment, and that was fine, we got through that, no problem, there wasn't a backup at the other end, which was all to do, how do you deal with it mentally? Because whether or not the thought process is, well, you guys just get on with it, get on with your life, we still have all the fear factors and anxiety and stress that went along with that to deal with that after. So I would say, certainly from my point of view, the biggest challenge for me wasn't just the physical treatment, it was the mental health side of things after. So yeah, we had a great night that night, and we're just always in contact now. Yeah.
So obviously from treatment, and then what does it go on from year after that? As you say, there's the whole mental side of it as well, and have to dealing with that and coping with it. Do you then have to, how regular do you then have to get checked up, and you have to go back and still cope, have a coping mechanism with that? How was that for you?
Well, I believe it's different from one guy to the next. Some guys are checked out for the space of 10 years. I was checked out constantly over 5 years, which is, I think, is the standard. Right. And during that time, you go for bloods, you go for X-rays, and it's just the oncologist saying, well, yeah, everything's fine. There's no indication of anything spreading, all clear. So yeah, it's one thing to get yourself through the treatment, which is quite heavy going anyway. But then when you've got no energy left and you've got to suddenly get back on with life, that's the next step really. And I think a lot of us have come to the conclusion that really we need to have a lot more dialogue about the mental health side of things, because that is so part and parcel, not for all guys, but for many of us who've talked about it, we've all had different experiences in that level of things.
You talk a lot about the guys. Would you say that one of, a good thing in a way to come out of your experience is that you've got this fantastic group of friends, and you're more bros, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you brothers for life, and united in what you've been through.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I don't think any of us expected it to go beyond that one evening, but we're constantly in contact, we're constantly talking about whether it's mental health, whether it's what can we do to fundraise. don't get me wrong, we do have a laugh along the way. You know, it's not all serious stuff. That's probably the bare minimum of it.
Yeah.
But it's just about using that as a through road that we can naturally just talk about it all the time. And if for whatever reason someone has, you know, a bit of stress about a checkup coming up or anything like that, they're always on Facebook or something, just to say, well, I've got this coming up, sort of, and you can offer that reassurance. Well, we've been there, done that, you know, we're here for you.
So that's the More Bros. And very quickly before we have to go, can women get involved? And if so, if there's girls watching this, how do they get involved?
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be my Mo Sisters this year.
I've always wanted to be a Mo Sister.
And certainly this year, there's a big campaign called the Move campaign, which is Move being the first 4 letters of Movember.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a 30-day challenge where you've got to challenge yourself to do some form of physical exercise over every day for 30 days, as well as growing the Mo. But that obviously, that's something that Mo Sisters can get involved with.
Well,
you want to be,
you can't grow a tash.
If you want to be Mo Sister, just follow the instructions on the bottom of the screen to go to the website and check out all the details. But Mark, thank you very much for coming on the show. And it's been great chatting with you and finding out all about Movember. And if you've got any pics as well, we want to see them of your long tashes.
We want to see them.
So send this to them on Twitter and Facebook as well, because it would be great to see them.
Yes, and always remember to give us a shout out on Twitter and Facebook, because we're always up for a bit of Northeast goss, aren't we?
We certainly are, because Mark, I tell you what, did you hear? Tell you what,
You'll
I've been away,
never
there's been
guess.
gossip.